Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Dr. Adetokunbo Adedeji joins us now. He's a member of Professionals for Change. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me here.
Can I start off with getting your thoughts on the President's visit to Maiduguri, which comes in the midst of so many things, including the developments in Baga?
Well, the President has chosen his time to visit Maiduguri, and it coincides with the time when he's probably going to be in Maiduguri for campaign in another 1 week. So it's a preamble to his visit next week for a political campaign. I would think that the President has chosen the wrong time. He should have done this a long time ago, about a month or whatever. So at least anybody who hears that he's going to campaign there would probably give him some credence. But the fact that he's going to start his campaign there next week and he's just going there this week for the first time, I think that's a little bit too late.
Yeah, but the thing is, better late than never. That's what some people will say. But there has to be a preamble. I think, what do you think if he just went there and it was all about campaigns?
Well, to the extent that I said he should have gone there a month ago, it would have made a lot more sense. I want to believe that any onlooker at this point who hears that he's been there yesterday and he's going to start a campaign next week would say, oh, because of the campaign, that's where he came in last week.
Well, let's look at the occasion. The occasion is also the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. You don't think that perhaps we were looking for a situation that will make it a little more apt?
Oh, there were situations in the past that would make the President go there every week. Nigerians are dying there. Nigerians are being killed. Nigerians are being displaced. It is not something that the President would leave until the day of remembrance for soldiers. And that's the reality.
Well, now the visit has been made.
Yeah.
What do you expect to see following the President's visit?
In Maiduguri, nothing. Nothing. There's nothing to see.
If the President had visited a month ago, you believe that he would have had certain impact.
What is the impact?
What's the impact he would have had now?
He would have been able to get the perception that there is a sensitivity about what is going on there, and the President's visit would have boosted the morale of both the displaced persons and the soldiers who are fighting the insurgents. The reality of what we're saying is that the President needs to show a little more concern about what is going on there by having physical presence, not every time, but more often than not. You will hear war in Iraq. You would hear, oh, President Clinton visited unannounced. George Bush was there unannounced. They didn't wait for a particular occasion to do that. They went. They went because it would serve two purposes. One, it would serve as a boost to the soldiers who are fighting there. It would also make the world see that the President cares. I heard the South African politician chastising our own president today on the news. It's uncalled for. But the moment the President has not done what he's supposed to do, it makes people or it gives people the opportunity to be able to say all these things. And that's the point I'm making.
Well, you don't think that we've shut them up now? Because, I mean, was shortly after criticism came from quarters that it came, less than a day, the President was in Maiduguri. So it looks like there was a plan to visit, Maiduguri.
I can't fault that.
Yes.
But I'm saying the plan came a little late. And for us, we shouldn't even dwell on that. I think what is more important is what more can be done to be able to assuage the feelings and the suffering of the people in that area.
What do you think should be done?
I think they need to step up on the fight against the insurgents. Nigerian army had been credited for so many good things fighting wars in other countries. It is very ridiculous that up till this moment, we are not getting any concrete evidence that something positive is happening in the war front. We're at war. And we need to treat it as such. The soldiers need to go there ready to do battle. And they need to be armed and given all that they need to be able to do that. We've been treating this matter with kid's glove.
You know, Dr. Adedeji, I think we're now sounding repetitive, sadly so, because we've always talked about this arms and ammunition for our troops. And if we're the beginning of 2015, we're still talking about arms and ammunition, and even yesterday, so many other reports in the foreign media of Nigerian soldiers speaking up, saying that they lack the arms and ammunition to combat the insurgents. Is it that we haven't actually made any move to get this done?
Maybe we have not made enough move.
Enough.
Yeah. Maybe it is not now that we should get just 7 Apache helicopters. Maybe we should have gotten them about 6 months ago. And that perhaps may have changed the situation on ground. But you see, the reality is there is a book about war, how to approach war, whether you call it conventional war or unconventional war. There is always an approach. Have we gone to the books to check what we're doing? Or are we imagining that, oh, this is not a war, it's just about a few groups of people? Look, let me tell you something. There are mercenaries who are fighting on the side of the insurgents. They get paid enough money to do what they're doing. Who is paying them, we don't know. But if the intelligence work is supposed to be properly done, this information should be at the disposal of the government. And you start fighting the war from there. Cut off the link to all those people who are probably funding them. Cut off their link where they're getting ammunition supply. They have the means to do that. Have we done any of this?
In the light of all this that
Yes.
you've raised, do you see elections holding there?
To be honest with you, I don't see how they're likely to hold an election there. If you want to make people commit suicide, then you ask them to go and line up to vote on that day. Because that would be a very good target for the insurgents.
How
What
come
if-
some politicians don't see this?
Well, they're seeing election as a reason why they're in politics. And that's the truth. We need to be elected
To serve.
to be able to get our positions back. If election doesn't hold, how do you want to elect
What
them?
if the citizens want to vote? What if they feel that they're being disenfranchised?
That's a very true feeling. But the war situation does not allow you to vote. So it is not that the people of Nigeria are being disenfranchised. It is that the areas that are affected by the insurgency will not be able to vote. That is the reality. So it is not a question of the people of Nigeria are being denied the opportunity to vote. It is that there is insurgency there. I don't think there will be anybody who is a polling officer who wants to stand where he could be bombed, who he could be shot at. Nobody wants to do that. And it would be suicidal for you to ask people to line up to come and vote when you know that some 3 or 4 people on a motorbike will ride past and start shooting at the people who are lining up to vote. These are things that you need to face as reality. Anything outside of that, you're just bringing in sentiments that may not earn anything. How many people are there to vote anyway? How do you give them their voter's card? They're already displaced from where they would normally remain as their domain. But if they're scattered all over the place now, how do you want to give them their voter's card?
You know, sentiments aside, because we had a lawmaker from that side of the country, he was here, seated there, and he painted a graphic picture of what exactly is happening, that it is totally impossible for elections to hold in some of these communities.
Right.
But in some other places, we can go ahead and say, for instance, Maiduguri, you can have an election there. But how come till this moment we still haven't actually, well, taken the reality of this gist that we're getting now? Because it would seem as if, the way you put it, the politicians just want to seek re-election or election on that day, irrespective of who is voting. But the president has visited the IDP's camp, and now we understand that a lot of people are displaced. What can INEC do, going by what Professor Jega has said about elections taking place in some place, if not all?
Let me delve into the sentiments of it. If you have a population count in those camps where you have the IDPs, and you imagine that you have a large number of people there who could be, whose vote could be counted, then conduct an election there. Register them there and conduct an election there. If that is done, then perhaps they will be able to take that into, but I don't think that is going to be possible. I think that will not be a sincere election taking place in that place. I think there will be too much sentiments that will be read into it and all that. Therefore, I would think what needs to be focused upon is those areas where election can hold. Let them do a survey and see if it would fit into the outcome of the electoral law in terms of coverage. Is it going to be 2/3 the number of local governments that are involved that would make that result a little tenable? I mean, those are issues that, because you cannot have 27 local governments in a place, and then only 5 local governments can viably vote. What kind of result are you getting? The governorship election would not be tenable. The senatorial election will not hold in some places. The members of the House of Assembly will not be voted in some places. So there are issues there that you need to be able to decide upon. And I would think that at this moment, if INEC is going to do a good job, they need to sincerely go into all the affected states and see the areas that have been affected by the insurgency, and then determine whether the remaining areas that are not affected, if they would be able to do an election that will count.